Okay, let's get this going. So over there on the sidelines, that's Edgar Allan Puss. He doesn't always make an appearance, but I guess he's gonna join us for our opening meditation this afternoon. Welcome, thank you so much for coming today. Good to see everyone. We are almost complete with our journey through the chakras. Today we'll be working with chakra number 6, our third eye. And in Sanskrit, this is, I've heard it pronounced a couple ways. I've heard it ajna, and I've heard it anya, anya, something like that. I prefer ajna because anjale is a mudra that we're very familiar with. We don't always refer to it this way, but hands at our heart center is anjale mudra. So I usually pronounce it anja, or ajna, excuse me, ajna. And this is our seat of intuition. So we'll be working with that a little bit today. And here's Gracie making her appearance, of course. And today we're actually going to start in child's pose. So if you'd like, you can take a blanket and put that right at the back of the knees. If we're having tenderness in the knees or the hips need to be slightly elevated to take some pressure off of the knees, this is a nice way to do that. It kind of lifts the hips up a little bit. If that isn't working for you, if you're not interested in using the blanket, we can move it aside for the moment. And let's go ahead and bring the big toes together at the back of the mat. We'll widen the knees a little bit and just start to nestle the torso in between the knees, letting the forehead come to rest either on the floor, or we can make fists with our hands and rest our forehead on our fists. If we'd like, we can place a book or a brick underneath us as well to lift the floor up a little bit and support our head. So let's check in with the neck for a moment and just make sure the neck is neutral. So we're not tilting our forehead down too much, and we're not tilting it up too much either, but resting our forehead in a way that our neck is nice and neutral all the way around. And then arms can either be extended out in front of us, or we can wrap the arms around, bringing our hands by our feet and just sinking in for a moment. Feeling held by the earth. Maybe the eyes are closed. Our third eye center is the space where our intellect and our intuition meet. Inside the brain, this is where our pineal gland is, which helps to regulate the hormone melatonin. So it's responsible for the circadian rhythm of our body, the sleep and wake cycles. And that gland is located right in between the two hemispheres of our brain. So by working to bring balance to our third eye, we help to bring balance to the right and left hemispheres of our brain. The masculine and feminine energies. Masculine is the more active energies associated with the right part of the body. This is the more intellectual, logical portion of our brain. And the feminine energy is associated with the left side of the body, the creative side, the more intuitive side. And just letting our hips sink a little more heavily towards the heels, maybe even starting to bring gentle movement to the head, rocking the forehead back and forth on the mat. Nice, slow movements. And as we gently move, if we're choosing movement, let's also be aware of the breath. Just noticing smooth inhales, smooth exhales. Our sixth chakra is associated with the color indigo. So a combination of a blue, like a bluish purple. Maybe even imagining that color at the third eye across the brow bone. And we'll be here for 2 more cycles of breath. And after that second breath, if our arms are not extended already, let's go ahead and extend the arms, and we'll make our way into puppy pose. So let's take our hands a little bit farther forward from our shoulders. We'll keep the hips right on top of the knees. And then actually, let's walk the hands out even further, tenting up onto the fingertips. We'll continue to scoop the belly button, scoop the tailbone, and then softening the space in between the shoulder blades. Maybe our forehead touches the earth, or maybe we slide a book or a brick underneath there. Today we'll support it. Oftentimes when we're in puppy pose, we just let our head be wherever it is, but today we'll put something underneath there so that there's a physical connection between our third eye and some surface. A little bit of a different version here, a more active version of our child's pose with our hips lifting a little bit. We'll lift the shoulders up a bit as well so that we can really invite a deepening of the heart towards the earth. And then again, we can stay in stillness, or we can gently rock our forehead from side to side. Just gently pressing on that space in between the eyebrows. Even though the shoulders are lifting, let's keep the shoulder blades on the back, even inviting the shoulder blades to melt upwards towards our hips here. We're here for 1 more cycle of breath. Just letting any thoughts or worries drain out of the forehead, onto the floor, into the earth, where the earth will take that energy and recycle it, compost it into something else. So let's go ahead and take an inhale. We'll come back to our all fours. We can move the brick out of the way, or the book if we've got one. And let's just take a couple of rounds of cat and cow here. So on our inhale, we'll sink the belly towards the earth, lifting our heart, lifting our tailbone, lifting our gaze a little bit as well. And then exhaling, let's round the spine, tuck the chin towards the chest as we scoop the tailbone strongly under. Let's do that a few more times. Inhaling to open up, exhaling to round, moving the spine. Articulating the spine as we flow through each posture, moving with our breath, so synchronizing our breath with our movement. Inviting the hips to be right on top of the knees, the hands underneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers nice and wide, even clawing the mat with our finger pads. Nice, strong upper body here. Good. And then on our next inhale, let's go ahead and come back to a neutral spine. We'll lower our hands onto the earth, so coming onto our forearms. Let's invite the shoulders to be right above our shoulders, our elbows. So elbows hugging in a little bit, pressing the wrists down, especially that inside of the wrist. And then let's start to walk the feet back a little bit, coming into a soft plank. We can have the knees down if we'd like. So a nice forearm plank here. Knees up or knees down, whatever feels best for us, but just tuning into the core here. So hugging into the midline. The third eye chakra, like I mentioned, is in the middle of our brain, right in between the 2 hemispheres. So using that as an opportunity to hug towards the midline today, that inner channel around our words are hard today, sorry. Around our spinal cord, yes, hugging in, last breath here. Good, and then let's go ahead and press ourselves back. We'll rest in child's pose for a moment. Forehead on the earth again. Arms extended or wrapped around the body. We can sway gently or we can stay in stillness. So sometimes when we are tapped into our intuition, verbiage is a little bit difficult because we're in a different section of our brain. So apologies for getting tongue-tied here today. Good. So let's go ahead and inhale coming back up, and we'll step our right foot forward in between our hands. Let's make our way into a lunge pose. So we can grab our bricks or books here if we'd like. As always, we'll be doing a little bit of everything today, a little bit of total body action, of course. So let's make sure that right knee is right on top of the right ankle, and we'll walk our left knee back a little bit. So we've got a wide stance with our legs. Let's take an inhale, lifting the shoulders, exhaling, melting the shoulders down, starting to draw the hips towards the earth. Just for today, let's see if we can stack the shoulders right on top of the hips. So our heart stays nice and open, our forehead nice and open, shining forward, opening up our intuition, and melting into our legs a bit here. So there's still a gentle activity in the legs, a gentle hugging in, the right heel drawing back a little bit, the left knee dragging slightly forward, and then letting the hips melt into that support. Shoulders back and down. We're here for one more cycle of breath. Good. And then let's go ahead and bring our left hand to the mat. We can angle our fingers out a little bit, kind of like a 45-ish degree angle or so, just to be a little more gentle on our shoulder. Let's glue our right hand to our right thigh. Inhale, invite the heart forward. On the exhale, we'll twist at the waist, coming into a little twist here. So let me turn that other way so you can see a little bit easier. So right hand glued to our right thigh, inhaling and exhaling. So really pressing that left hand away. It's tempting to kind of lean into and collapse into that shoulder, but let's keep pressing the floor down, lengthening up through the spine, through the crown of the head, and then actively rotating the right shoulder back as the left shoulder draws forward in our twist. Maybe we stay here, or maybe we extend our right arm up towards the ceiling, maybe even tilting our head, looking up towards the sky as well. We might imagine a big column or light of that indigo color shining right in between our eyebrows. We're here for one more breath, twisting, and then exhaling. Let's draw both hands back down to the mat, and we'll take our hips towards the wall behind us. Let's bow forward over that front leg just a little here. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, diving in a little deeper. So our hips are right on top of that back knee. Let's keep pinning that right hip back a little bit. Energy through the leg. Pressing the heel down into the earth, and then energetically drawing the heel towards the body. So active here as we spread the toes. Good. And then let's just create a little rainbow. So we'll dip our pinky toe down towards the earth, and then rotate the other way and dip our big toe towards the earth. Neither one of them has to touch, and most likely they won't. But we'll keep the toes spread nice and wide. Just feel the thigh bone rotating in the socket here. Opening up into the hips a little bit. And then the next time the pinky toe comes down towards the earth, let's pause there for a moment. Saying hello to that IT band, seeing what it says back to us today, and maybe we even take both hands over towards the right side to deepen into that sensation. Staying connected with the breath, nice full, long, deep cycles. Good, and on our next inhale, let's bend into that front knee once again. We'll take that foot back behind us. And then any movement that feels good here. We can cat and cow if we'd like, or we can make circles with the torso, or even making circles around the hips. 1 or 2 times in each direction. Good. Okay, let's come to a neutral spine once again, and I'll turn the other way so that we can step our left foot forward in between our hands on the mat. So maybe finding our bricks or our books again. As we inhale, lifting the shoulders, lifting the heart, and then melting into the hips. Finding that perfect balance between effort and effortlessness. And that's kind of like our intuition as well, right? Our intellectual side, or that balance between intuition and intellect. Our intellect oftentimes seems to take, well, I don't know, see which way it is for you. Maybe the intellect seems more effortful, or maybe it seems that intuition is more effortful. And maybe the opposite one is more effortless. So maybe the intellect comes naturally. We might naturally be able to think and analyze and rationalize things, but maybe it's harder for us to trust in our intuition, and that's okay. It's just an opportunity for us to learn and to grow, to be with ourselves, which is exactly what we're doing in our yoga practice. So let's go ahead and release our books or our bricks if we've got them. And we'll bring our right hand down to the mat. So let's bring it up a little bit. So it's maybe our hand is maybe right in front of our shoulder. And we'll turn the hand out a little to create some stability in our shoulder. Gluing our left hand to our left thigh, inhaling, opening the heart, lengthening the spine. And then from that nice long spine, let's twist over towards that left side. So drawing our heart over towards the left. Keep hugging that left knee in. Keep pressing the earth away with that right hand. Good. So a little bit of a side stretch here too. We're getting really deep into that right hip flexor. Nice full breaths. And then if we chose to extend our arm on the first side, let's do so here as well. Maybe even taking our gaze up towards our hand. Energy through the big toe mound of our left foot so that we've got equal energy on the outside and the inside of our foot. We're here for 2 more cycles of breath. Maybe seeing that indigo light shining up towards the ceiling as we breathe these last couple breaths here. Good. Let's go ahead and release. Inhaling here in our lunge, and on our exhale, we'll take the hips back towards the wall behind us as we bow forward over that front leg. Nice hamstring stretch on the left side. So part of our yoga practice is deepening that intuition that lives inside of our body, learning to be quiet, to turn inward, to really listen to what our body is saying, and then responding in real time. And one way we can do that is if we find ourselves suffering in the pose, feeling as though we're experiencing pain, that's our body's way of asking us to get out of that, right? We might find the edges of our stretch. So we may find areas of discomfort or challenge, and that's okay. That we can breathe into. But if we ever experience a sharp pain, let's go ahead and get out of that immediately. So we'll rotate our front leg here, making that little rainbow from side to side, dropping pinky toe side and big toe side down towards the mat. There's no competition here, so we don't have to worry about how close the foot comes to the earth or not. We're just looking for some sensation as we feel that thigh bone, that femur bone rotating in the socket. And then the next time that pinky toe comes down towards the earth, let's just pause there for a moment. Energy through the ball mound, so keep pressing through the big toe, the little toe, and then maybe we take both hands or our bricks over towards that left side. Hips gently leaning towards the right as we breathe into the outside of our leg here. Notice that little fire, and just send the breath into those areas of tightness, opening them up. Good, last breath here. Let's go ahead and take an inhale. We'll come back to our all fours and just a little bit of movement. So maybe circling the hips or circling the torso, or a cat and a cow, whatever feels good. We can also explore child's pose for a breath or two. Good. And then let's go ahead and come into a seated position. So I'm going to grab my blanket and sit up on the blanket, because I like to prop my hips up a little bit. And if you like to do that too, you can join me up on your blanket. Blankets are great for bringing the pelvis to neutral so that our spine can rise up out of that neutrality, moving the flesh away from the sitting bones. And let's do a little bit of pranayama, so some breath work here. We'll take our right hand and curl it into a fist. And then let's open up the thumb and the ring finger, and we'll bring that up to our face right by our nose. So we're going to work with alternate nostril breathing today, which helps to bring balance to the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. So let's start. We can have eyes opened or eyes closed. And we'll start by plugging the right nostril and inhaling through the left. And then we'll pause at the top. Let's close off the left nostril and exhale through the right. Stay here. Inhale right. And at the top where the pause is, we'll switch, closing the right nostril, exhaling through the left. Notice the pause. Inhale left. Plug the left nostril and exhale through the right. Inhale right. Plug the right nostril and exhale left. Good. Inhale left. Plug the left and exhale right. Inhale right. Plug the right and exhale left. So let's keep going a few more rounds at your own pace. Bringing balance to the body. Bringing balance to the mind, helping to calm the nervous system. As we mentioned earlier, the right side of the body is the masculine side. This is the heat activating side. So building and generating heat each time we breathe through the right nostril. And then balancing that with the left side, the cooling feminine energy. Each time we breathe in and out through that left nostril. Maybe even noticing if we can sense a temperature difference between the right and left nostrils. And if we do, that's great. And if not, that's great too. We're just observing without judgment, without expectation. So the next time we exhale through the left nostril, we can remove our hand from our face and bringing both palms to our lap. Palms down is a little more grounded, or maybe today we'd like to spin the palms up towards the sky in a symbol of receptivity. The upper three chakras, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, are connected to the universe, connected to spirit, connected to all other beings on the planet. So palms up is a symbol of our connection to all of that. And then let's go ahead and bow the chin towards the chest, softening the shoulders away from the ears, and just bringing a little bit of movement to the neck here. Rolling our head from side to side, pausing in any places that might need a little bit of extra attention or TLC. Noticing without judgment the quality of the movement in our neck. Noticing places where maybe we get a little stuck or maybe the movement isn't so fluid. I'm just breathing into those spaces. Okay, the next time our head comes down in the center here, let's pause for a moment. And then we'll lift our head, blink the eyes open, and let's go ahead and transition once again. So we'll make our way back into our all fours. And we've got two options here. We'll either move through downward facing dog, or we'll just make our way up into a standing position. So whatever feels better for our body today. If we're moving through down dog, let's take our hands about half a handspan forward. We'll curl the toes under, nice big breath here, inhaling. And on the exhale, let's lift the hips into the sky, bringing our heart towards our thighs as we press our hands forward and down. Knees nice and deeply bent. We might even rest our torso on our legs for the moment. And let's just shake the head gently, yes and no if we're in down dog. If we've made our way to standing already, let's just find mountain pose. Eyes can be opened or closed. And then inhaling, lifting the hips, lifting the heels, exhaling, lowering the heels towards the earth, lengthening into the back of the legs here. Good. If we're still in down dog, let's walk forward, taking as many steps as we'd like until we make our way into forward fold. Feet about hips width apart, letting the crown of the head drip down towards the earth, strong legs. Floating the hands to the hips, hugging the elbows in. Let's press through the feet, inhaling all the way up, making our way into standing. All right, so let's just take a moment in mountain pose. I know for me, anytime I change levels like that, I need a moment to come back into balance. My head kind of gets a little swirly, so if that happens to you, no worries, it's normal. And if not, that's okay too. So let's make our way into warrior one. We're gonna take our right foot forward towards the little edge of our mat, and we'll take it a little more towards the corner. Let's step our left foot back a little bit so that we've got maybe 2.5 or 3 feet between our feet. The left toes, we're gonna turn forward towards the little edge of the mat as well, at least 20 degrees or so. So just kind of checking in with the ankle, seeing how that feels. Let's bring our hands to our hips, gently guide the left hip forward as the right hip starts to move back in space. Let's inhale, scoop our tailbone under, and then exhale, bend into that front knee. So let's make sure that right knee is right on top of our ankle, just like we did when we were in our kneeling pose earlier. Filling up this back leg, so squeezing the glute, pressing the thigh up towards the ceiling, deeply bent into that front knee, shoulders right on top of our hips today. And then let's sweep our right arm underneath our left and give ourselves a nice big hug. Good. Breathing into the back of the heart space here. And then if we'd like, we can stimulate that third eye again. We'll take our right hand and just gently place our palm, the base of our palm right here, the base of our palm, oops, at the space in between our eyebrows. So just feeling the warmth of our palm gently pressing into that space as we deepen into the legs, giving ourselves a nice, big, compassionate hug here for one more breath. Good. Let's go ahead and release the hands. We'll bring our feet back up, and then let's wiggle the front foot forward or towards the midline a little bit. So bringing the right foot towards the middle of our mat, and then let's make an adjustment with our back foot so that now we're kind of heel to arch here, making our way into warrior two. So we'll start with our hips squared to the side, hands on hips, inhaling, exhaling, bending into that front knee, leveling our hips, softening the shoulders, Good. Nice, strong, powerful legs. And then inhaling, drawing the arms up here. Let's take our gaze out, almost like we're turning our chin towards our pinky finger. And that actually sets up our alignment a little bit more, really deepening into the neck here, softening the shoulders for one more breath. Good job. Let's release the arms. We'll bring the legs back towards straight. And let's just simply switch sides. So we'll start in warrior two on this side so we can keep our feet as they are. Back foot is slightly angled in on those toes. Left toes are facing the little edge of the mat. Let's bring our hands to our hips and then level the hips here so that there's a tendency on the right side for that hip to kind of lift up, and we'll just invite it down, really plugging our back leg into that socket. Inhaling here, exhaling, bending into that left knee. Peeling the knee open towards the pinky toe, so activating this leg here. And then inhaling, reaching the arms up to shoulder level, gently reaching out through the fingertips, maybe turning the head just a little bit more today so that we're kind of looking out. It almost looks like we're looking over our pinky finger, but that really sets up good alignment to be right out over that middle finger. Last breath. Good, and then let's release the arms. And we'll turn the toes towards the long edge of the mat, and let's just heel toe the feet together, and then we'll turn towards the opposite side of our mat and set ourselves up for warrior one. It's just a little bit easier of a transition. So we'll take our left foot towards the left corner of the mat and widen our right foot towards the long edge of the mat behind us. So we've got a nice wide stance, a nice stable base. Nice big breath here, hands on hips, exhaling, bending into that front knee. We might need to wiggle the foot forward so that we can still see our toes when we look down. Let's keep scooping the tailbone down, filling up this back leg here. Squeeze that glute, drilling down through the outer edge of our back foot. Weight is about evenly distributed between the legs. And then let's inhale, taking our arms up, and then exhaling, crossing our right arm on top of our left for that nice big hug here. If we can, maybe even bringing our hands onto our shoulder blades on our back, really exposing the back of our heart center here, opening up. And then we can release our left hand to gently rest it on the third eye space, right in between the eyebrows. The gentle warmth of our hand stimulating that space on the eyebrows, in between the eyes and the forehead. And then let's go ahead and release. Good job. So we'll inhale, sweeping the arms up. On the exhale, let's bring the hands to the floor. We'll bend the knees, making our way back into child's pose. So big toes come together at the back of our mat. Let's soften our forehead towards the floor. Arms can be extended or wrapped in, and just resting for a moment. Notice the heat that we've created. Using that heat to burn up anything that no longer serves. It could be mindsets that no longer serve. It could be identities that we're ready to let go of. Or maybe even limiting beliefs that we're ready to release. Beautiful. On our next inhale, let's go ahead and come back up, and we'll make our way into a seated position once again. So let's take the legs forward, and we'll move the flesh away from the sitting bones. Heels on the ground. This is another good place for support of the hips if we need it. So we can sit up on a blanket here, just enough so that our pelvis is neutral. So if we're tilting too far forward, we don't want that. But if our hamstrings are super tight, it can kind of pull us back sometimes. So having a blanket can be a really nice tool to have, and maybe even bending the knees a little bit here. So dialing that in a way that feels good and supportive for you. And then let's take the hands by the sides, drawing the shoulders up, back, and down, feeling the shoulder blades come more solidly onto the spine. Notice the gentle lift of the chest here. Let's take a big inhale, filling up. And then on the exhale, we're gonna lead with our chest, drawing our heart towards our toes, keeping our spine nice and long. And then eventually we'll get to a point where we feel like, oop, I've gone about as far as I can. And that's okay. Once we get there, we can pause. Inhale, find new length. And then exhale, fold in once again. We'll find another space where we feel a little stopping point, and then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. Good. So we might even take our bricks or our books here, and we can stack them up a little bit and gently rest our forehead here. This is a really nice restorative posture to open up the back body, to breathe into the back of the legs. Let's keep just a gentle attention in the feet. So still spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel of the foot. Softening the shoulders, the jaw, letting go of the space between across the eyebrows, across the forehead. Belly button lightly lifting in and up. And again, there's no destination here, so we might even be just leaning over slightly, a gentle forward fold. That's okay too. Wherever we are is perfect, as long as we're breathing and feeling. Good work. So let's take an inhale, and we'll come all the way back up. And then let's widen the stance. So we'll take the legs nice and wide, and we might wish to grab onto that brick or book again. And we'll move the flesh away from the sitting bones once again. So this is another place where sometimes our hamstrings can pull us down and really create a lot of rounding in the low back. But let's see if we can sit up. We might even lift our pelvis off of the floor in order to make that happen a little bit. So it's more like we're sitting slightly forward on our sitting bones, inviting the toes up towards the sky. We're going to try to keep them pointing up. Sometimes when we fold in, they start to fold in with us. So just noticing that today. And if that starts to happen, we'll take that as a sign that maybe we've gone a little too far. So let's bring the hands inside both legs, inhaling, lengthening the heart. And then same thing, let's lead with our heart, reaching forward and out, walking the hands with us. Checking in with the feet, toes towards the sky, making adjustments if we need to. Let's inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, maybe walk out a little bit more. We might stay up on our hands today, or maybe we fold down onto our forearms. Wherever it is, just being there fully. So also noticing if the sitting bones, if the tailbone is lifting up a lot, we can use our hands to gently press our hips down towards the mat. So keeping the natural curvature of our spine. There's a curve at the back of the neck, and then there's a curve in the lumbar spine as well. So let's keep those, maintain those, even as we fold forward. And then once we've landed at our lowest point, maybe we stack up some bricks or books and rest our forehead here. And just let the shoulders go, let the upper body melt a little bit. Releasing any tension, relaxing the jaw. Just a gentle engagement in the legs so that they stay in the pose, part of the pose. But letting the upper body release. Good, and then let's take an inhale. We'll come all the way back up. Move our troughs out of the way for a moment. And then let's take the insides of the knees and draw the feet back in. Good. We'll extend the legs once again. And let's cross the right foot over the left. So we can keep the left leg extended long, or we can curl the leg under if that feels good. So whichever one feels best today. And let's check in with our hips. So sometimes if we curl that bottom leg in, we end up kind of favoring the left side. So we might need to lift the hips up a little bit, resituate ourselves. Interlacing the hands in front of that right leg, let's inhale and lengthen the spine here. Growing tall through the crown of the head, activating the left foot, staying connected, pressing the bottom of our right foot into the earth. And then let's wrap our left arm around our leg. We'll sweep the right arm back behind us, coming into a nice big twist here. Right hand kind of close to our feet like a little kickstand. As we take our gaze over that right shoulder, let's continue to hug the right knee into the chest, spreading the left toes, staying connected to that leg. And then here, we're getting, I feel it more like on my outer hip here, so if that's working for you, you can stay right here. If you want a little bit more in the upper back, we can slide that left arm inside the right knee and then start to twist a little more in the thoracic spine. So drawing the right shoulder back, the left shoulder spins a little more forward. Breathing here, last breath. On an inhale, let's make our way all the way back to the center, and we'll extend the legs. Good. So let's just pause for a moment, maybe even closing the eyes as we sit here and notice the right half and the left half. Maybe one leg feels longer than the other, or maybe there's a temperature difference, whatever we notice. And then let's blink the eyes open and explore that twist on the second side. So bending the left knee, let's step the left knee over to the right side. And even this here, if this is too much, you can always leave the left foot on the inside of the left leg. So choosing which option feels better. And then option 2, curl that bottom leg under or keep it extended. I'll keep it extended on this side as well. Let's take our right arm, wrap it around that left knee, and then sweep the left arm back behind us. Belly pulls lightly in, helping to move the flesh of our torso so that we can twist a little bit more. Good. The crystals that I brought today for third eye chakra balancing are an amethyst, which has a deeper purple color. And I also brought my labradorite, which has flecks of blue and like a darker kind of greenish blue color. It always makes me think of a crocodile eye, or kind of like their skin and their eye. Let's take a nice big inhale, coming back to center. Good, and we'll extend the legs forward once again. This time, let's just give it a little shake it out a little bit. Good work. And the last stone that I have is a piece of shungite, which is like a really deep gray color. And it's really good for releasing negativity. Let's go ahead and bend our knees. We'll make our way into a seated position on our booty here with our knees bent. And let's hold behind the legs. We'll come up into a boat pose. Feet lift, hugging the legs into each other, squeezing the legs as if they were one. Let's melt the shoulders, lift the heart, and maybe we even release our hands away from our legs as well, using that core strength for 2 more cycles of breath. Good, keep squeezing those legs in, spreading the toes, last breath. Beautiful job. Let's hold behind the legs, bring the feet back to the floor, and then we'll roll down 1 inch at a time. So let's extend the arms forward and then plug the shoulders back in, tucking the chin towards the chest, rolling down 1 vertebra at a time, keeping the chin tucked the whole time. Ooh, good job. It gets a little challenging towards the mid back and upper back, but if you keep the chin tucked in, it helps a lot to continue to roll down. So speaking of rolling, let's roll our shoulders underneath our heart a little bit, and then we'll lift the legs up again. So let's cross the right leg over the left, and for the moment, just let the feet kind of flop down towards the floor. Then we'll lift the head and see if we can catch anywhere on the lower part of our leg. So we can hold on around the shin, we can hold the ankle, we can hold around the pinky toe side of the foot if it's available. We can even hold on to our pant leg if we need to. So finding whatever spot on that leg we can hold on to and holding on to that. Then let's activate the feet. So spreading the toes. And then from here, if our legs are still kind of drooping down towards the floor, let's lift them up so that the lower portion of the leg is parallel to the ground. And then if we can, we'll lower our head back down to the earth. Good. This is reclining cow face pose. So nice deep opening for the hips here. Normally the hips are associated with the second chakra, the sacral chakra, which oversees our creativity. But our creativity and our intuition are intertwined. They're related. Oftentimes when we're feeling some kind of intuitive hit, it might feel like we're making it up. It can feel very kind of creative or fictitious. And so that's part of learning to trust in our own intuition, learning to discern what really is worth paying attention to. Last breath here. Good work, everyone. Let's go ahead and release the legs, but keep them intertwined. And then we'll bring the left foot to the floor. Let's bump the right hips over towards the right a little, or the hips over towards the right. And then we'll drop the legs over to the left, inviting the hips to stack one on top of each other. We might need to wiggle the left shoulder out from underneath us, and then we can look over at our right fingertips. And if we'd like, we can take our first 2 fingers and just gently place them right in between our eyebrows, right at that third eye center. We might even massage that space a little bit if we'd like, or maybe just a gentle tapping on that area. Waking up our inner sight, seeing with our third eye that which is not always easily seen with our organic sight. Beautiful. Let's release our hands. We'll bring our head back to neutral, and then let's use our core strength to pull the legs back up. And we'll unwind the legs. Let's take the legs into the sky, maybe point and flex the feet a couple of times. We can make some circles around the ankles if we'd like. If we choose circles, like make sure we go in both directions. The scent that I have in my essential oil diffuser today is frankincense. Frankincense is a very old scent. It was actually used as currency in ancient times, and it was one of the 3 gifts that the wise men brought to baby Jesus when he was born. Let's go ahead and bend the knees, and we'll switch the cross of the legs. So let's take the left leg over the right, knee to knee as best as we can. And then we'll roll the shoulder blades under again. Let's let the legs just drop for a moment, and we'll lift the head up, belly button draws down towards the earth, and then holding on anywhere on the leg that feels good. Sides might be different, so maybe we don't reach as far down on this side. That's okay. So once we've got wherever we're landing on the legs, let's activate the feet. So spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel of the foot. And then let's start to lift the lower leg parallel to the floor. So I always have trouble with one side or the other. I think I'm lifting one leg, but I'm really not. It gets weird with the legs crossed. So just notice that if it happens to you. Maybe laugh or smile, and then replace the head back on the floor. If we're not feeling enough, meaning if we want more, we can tilt the tailbone towards the floor a little bit. And then let's see if we can soften the upper body, taking any strain or stress or tension out of the upper body and softening in, finding that balance once again between effort and effortlessness. Good, nice deep breathing, breathing into the places where we feel the most sensation. And then let's go ahead and release the legs. We'll bring the right toes to the floor, bumping the hips over to the left. Let's drop the knees to the right, and then we'll scooch that right shoulder out from underneath us, maybe looking out over our left fingertips. And if we'd like, we can take our first two fingers of our right hand and just maybe place them on our third eye, or gentle tapping, or maybe even a circular motion there. Good, letting the body soften, the jaw slacken. Nice, deep breathing. Good work. Let's release our hand. We'll use our core strength to pull the knees back to center. Let's reposition the hips so that they are flat on the floor, and then we'll take the legs up into the sky one more time. We can keep the legs straight, or if we'd like, we can move into happy baby, bending the knees, letting the knees fall towards the earth, maybe moving and rocking gently with our bottoms of our feet up towards the sky, choosing the pose that feels best in our body. Just getting a little bit of upside down time here, supported upside down time. Letting the blood return from the lower body. Good, and then wherever the legs are, we can bend the knees. Let's bring the bottoms of the feet together. We'll bring our arms underneath the legs and place our hands somewhere on the outer leg. So it could be on the outer shin, or maybe it's around the pinky toe side edge of the foot. And then letting the knees fall out towards the sides, starting to bring our heels in towards our heart as much as feels good. Let's press the bottoms of the feet into each other. And we'll inhale, lifting our head towards our feet. There's no destination, no place we need to get to. And then let's soften the head back down. We'll release the legs. Extending one leg at a time out towards the wall in front of us. Bringing our shoulder blades a little more deeply onto our back. Let's let the feet flop open, the palms spinning up towards the ceiling, making our way into Shavasana, our final relaxation. So if there's anything that we need, if we need a blanket to stay warm, we can grab that. And let's take a nice cleansing breath here, in through the nose, filling up. Soft, open mouth exhale. Let's do one more like that. Inhaling through the nose. Pausing at the top, retaining the breath. And then soft, open mouth exhale. And right as we slip into our Shavasana, our final relaxation, maybe we say silently to ourselves, I listen to my intuition. And then inviting everything to soften. The bones sinking heavily into the mat. The skin softening, draping over us like a soft silk sheet. Feeling the jaw gently slacken so that there's space between the upper and lower teeth. Even feeling the eyes sinking back in our head a little more, as if they were going to softly rest on the earth herself. Letting our attention and our awareness go. There's nothing more that we need to do. Now it is time to just simply be, just receive. If you would like to remain in your Shavasana for longer, please do. If you would like to seal your practice, then please begin to deepen the breath, feeling the belly rise and fall with each breath. Whispering gentle movement into fingers and toes. When you're ready for more, maybe circling wrists and ankles. Maybe even exploring a full body stretch, taking the arms overhead, the feet forward, lengthening on the mat. Letting the back arch away from the floor. And then bending both knees, let's roll to one side and just pause here for a moment. With as little effort as possible, making our way up into seated position, closing the eyes once again. Let's bring the hands together right on the forehead. So curling the fingers in, tips of the fingers on the forehead, And then 3 times, we'll just gently pull the fingers away from each other from the center of the forehead down to the temples. Returning to the space in between the very middle of the forehead and gently pulling apart, using as much or as little pressure as feels good. And then 1 more time, just like that. Beautiful. Releasing our hands to our heart center, pressing the right into the left into the right. The sound for the 6th chakra, the 3rd eye, is Om, a sound that we are pretty used to in our yoga practice. So we'll chant 1 Om to seal our practice today. Let's take a cleansing breath first, in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Inhale to Om. Bowing the chin to the chest in a symbol of gratitude for this opportunity to move our bodies, to be on our mat, to practice in our online community. Thank you so much for being here. May our yoga practice be an opportunity for us to deepen our intuition, to learn to trust in ourselves, knowing that more often than not, the answer is already inside of us. We just have to listen. Thank you so much for coming to practice. Thank you for practicing yoga. Namaste. Good work, everyone. As always, questions, comments, concerns, or interpretive dances, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.